Hello and welcome back to the Second and Two podcast. I'm your host, TB. Got my co-host, producer extraordinaire, Angels fan, hat connoisseur, barbecue master, background in business, one of the best people I know, one of the few Russell Westbrook stans I know. It's Jody. What's up, Joe?
Yes, sir. That's me. I mean, you briefly touched on it. I don't want to ramble on it too long, but I think Russell Westbrook is probably one of my favorite dudes to watch. Obviously, he's fallen off, but back in OKC, bro, that dude was crazy.
Yeah, I guess.
And
Back in OKC.
it also helps when you're playing on 2K. You're just dunking over everyone, so that probably has some effect as to why I like him.
That's true. That's true. Let's just get to some quick news. First and foremost, some of the biggest news that happened most recently, Trey Lance traded
Yeah.
last Friday to the Cowboys for a fourth-round pick. The Trey Lance era in San Francisco never
Bye-bye.
started, and now it's over. Tough look for the Niners. Tough for Trey. I think just the injuries, the lack of reps, the lack of ability to show what he can do really is ultimately what his downfall was. And I don't even know that I can blame him for it. I mean, did he look fantastic in his limited action? No.
Nope.
But there was some promise. There's some athleticism. There's some raw tools there. Maybe the Cowboys can dig it out of him. I mean, he's not going there to go be a starter. You know, they have an entrenched starter in Dak Prescott. But, maybe it'll allow him to reset his career a little bit. And we'll see what happens with him. But I thought that was probably one of the more interesting moves of the last week.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, we do know Dak's going to be the starter there, but I will say I was planning on when we hit the group message on that. I was going to say, so does that mean Trey Lance is trying to take a spot here? But like also, what does it say about that QB room? Like, are they not confident in their guy? I don't remember his name who played all last week. Like that's also weird to see that you're trading for a dude this late into the preseason and you're gonna roll with them going forward. Like that's also confusing to me.
Yeah, I think there was a few interesting cuts that happened here. This last couple days, just kind of on that. I mean, Trey Lance didn't get cut. Obviously, he got traded, but along the same lines here, the Rams released running back Royce Freeman. The Bears released quarterback Nathan Peterman. The Raiders released Keenan Cole. The Dolphins released Robbie Chosen Anderson. I guess he wasn't chosen. The Saints released Jonathan Abram. The Jets released Tim Boyle. So a lot of veterans. The Ravens released Melvin Gordon. Also, interesting news here. No deal for Jonathan Taylor. Saw the Dolphins clear some cap space. Yeah, saw him clear some cap space today, and but to no avail. No deal. Thought that might be it, and no deal there. Looks like they're going to try and get him to come. He's going to be on the pup for a little bit, and then they're going to try and get him to come play in Indy, and we'll see what happens there. See if the bridge is too burnt. Also, some other guys. The Bills placed Von Miller on the pup today. So they're playing the long game with him. They want him to get fully healthy before he plays.
That's good. I like hearing that.
Also some positive news here. We saw the Jackson Smith and Jigba of the Seahawks was back at practice today after just getting wrist surgery. That's kind of crazy, actually.
My dude's probably got some pins in there holding him down.
I mean, there's a picture of him. He's got a cast on. He's in practice catching the ball. So
he's
fully dressed out
with a club.
Yeah, dude. Well, not quite a club. It's like casted up, but his fingers are available. So I mean, I don't know.
I mean, that's all you need to catch.
Yeah,
your body, which isn't the right way, but I mean, hey.
The Cardinals. Let's talk about them.
Hey,
their quarterback situation. What do they do? They cut Colt McCoy, who's been there a couple of years. He's a veteran, proven, good backup in the league. You can get away with starting him for a few games and be successful. Had a good run last year. And instead they cut him, and they traded for Josh Dobbs, who he's been with their team for like a week. And then they have Clayton
He
Tune, who
just
they
might be the
drafted.
quickest learner, though. This dude's smart.
Dobbs is extremely smart.
He did the same thing when he went to Tennessee. Now, I'm not
I've
saying
always
this is like the main reason they should start him, but like he must pick up things really quickly.
I've always been a Josh Dobbs fan, going back to Tennessee, but their other option is 5th round rookie Clayton Tune, who out of Houston, who was really good at Houston, but it just is really interesting. All signs point towards maybe the Cardinals are tanking.
Ooh, yeah, it's very possible. I mean, their division's already tough, and I don't even know what's going on with Kyler. We'll see what happens with all that too.
But I think that's majority of the camp news. Anything that we missed, other than it's cuts day, it's cuts week, I should say, and so a lot of rosters are cutting down. We've seen a lot. We highlighted a lot of the
the
kind of
Rams
notable
sent out their
veterans.
53 man. Got the message about that.
Yeah. Marquise Copeland was a surprise cut, if you ask me. He's a guy who I thought they were going to lean on this year. They let A'Shawn Robinson and Greg Gaines walk in free agency, only to cut Marquise Copeland after re-signing him. So
yeah, bro, their roster, I clicked on like the website link, and their D lineman is just all rookies and like a dude or two that are vets. It's crazy.
Yeah, their whole defense is like that.
Yeah, well, that too.
It's
but
basically John Johnson III, Akello Witherspoon, and Aaron Donald, with just a bunch of guys who are in like their third year max.
Yeah,
like everyone else is third year or younger, essentially. So yeah, they're really young on defense. We'll see how that works out. But we wanted to talk a little Hard Knocks episode 3. Yes, we're an episode behind. Episode 4 is airing at now. We've explained this on every episode, but we'll continue. So, Joe, your initial thoughts on episode 3 of Hard Knocks?
Ooh, the whole episode. I mean, I don't know. I like picking bits and pieces about it, but I mean, as a whole, I will say that Robert Salah was trying to just get everyone to buy in, pretty much. I don't know. That's probably like early on in the episode, but I think that could be a big takeaway.
Yeah, he had his 4 tiers of competition. You could be a survivor,
contender,
competitor, or commander. Yeah. Was I the only one that thought commander and thought like the Washington Commanders?
No, definitely not.
Okay, all right. I'm just making sure.
Especially when our guy Q Ball goes, "Coach, I'm a commander."
Yeah, yeah. It's funny because every coach has their own way of defining
whatever,
culture and leadership and how we want things done. We literally just did the same thing with the high school kids today.
Oh, really?
Except defining, instead of 4, there were 3 buckets, and we had like green, gray, and red. And like green is money. Green is like all the people who are exhibiting the characteristics of a competitor or a commander.
Yeah.
Gray
Which is also, he said those are basically the same thing, except commanders bring people with them. So yeah, that makes sense.
Gray is like what a contender was in his tier, and red is the survivor.
Yeah.
So we were literally just doing the same thing with our kids today. And it's just funny because like at every level you see this, like and it's part of, if you want your team to exhibit the qualities of winners and be able to win a championship, you have to do these things.
Especially just to get the visual of like where you are as a team, as an individual. Like it's basically just like the mindset of being a contender, but you get to visualize who's where.
Yeah, and I think it gives you common language, so when things aren't going the right way, you have quick buzzwords of getting people back on the right track without having to have long, drawn out conversations. It's efficient. So it's I was sitting there listening to it, and it's nothing I've never heard. It's nothing I
Yeah,
haven't
that's for
heard
sure.
before. But so it wasn't like this original new thing to me. But it was good. I thought
Yeah.
maybe some more creativity. We have C, 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 and then an S for
Yeah.
Survivor. Like maybe we couldn't come up with another C word. I don't know. Just
Yeah, and
saying.
then call it
And
the 4
also,
Cs or something.
well, and then also it's competitor in the competitor chart. And competitor wasn't the top one, it was the commander, which is
Yeah,
another football team, but we'll
yeah.
leave that aside for now.
Or like, yeah, I was thinking more like general. I know they kinda use that in Madden, right? Like the field general or whatever, but,
Yeah.
like, I don't know, it makes more sense as opposed to not only being the name of another team, but, like, it just sounds more official, I don't know.
Yeah. What else stood out to you?
Ooh, I got well, I mean, while we're still on this topic, he had the all gas, no brakes written around everywhere. Another like
Mhm.
mantra they were trying to follow, which I thought was funny because you see in the start, he's got the polo on. It's just the letters, and I was like,
All
what does
gas,
that
no
mean?
brakes.
Yeah,
AGNB.
yeah. And I was like, what is this shirt? Like, this has nothing to do with the Jets. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
then you see like they're walking around the facility, and it's like the first thing you see is like, oh, now I get it.
It's everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, literally
Um,
have that written down. All gas, no brakes,
yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah. The the other thing that stood out to me in this episode, Breece Hall is a freak.
Yeah.
This guy's running 21 miles an hour, and he's
That's
just
crazy
getting
just off
back,
the
like,
surgery. Yeah.
and he could they said he could top out at 23. So he's not even
Mhm.
at his full. I mean, he's not
Potential.
even. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
crazy. I thought it was really funny when Nathaniel Hackett is like, "Hi, I'm Coach
Yeah.
Hackett. I'm Nathaniel. I'm a coach here."
Yeah.
Like,
Well, at
introducing
first,
himself.
the first time I thought it was like, "Bro, they've already met," but then I realized this fool just got here this offseason, so they probably haven't, and which made it more funny because I was like, "They should know each other," but then they don't, you know? So
I
I was like,
think
"Oh, this is real."
I think they probably do. I just think it was probably Hackett, like, sorta
Trying to
his
make a
goofy
joke or
way.
something.
Yeah, his goofy way
Yeah.
of congratulating for him, for him being out
Be
there on the
back in the
practice
yeah.
field. Yeah. Um, but that I thought that was just Hackett just has, like, a moment in every episode. He's not, like, a huge character, but in every
Yeah.
episode, he has, like, a moment that's
His
just
one little
funny.
bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say,
Um,
while we're talking about Breece Hall too, they also voices what happens behind the scenes in rehab, you know, like, I
yeah.
mean, you hear it from people who have gone there, but, like, if you don't know it, they always talk about, like, some days you feel amazing, like, you're full, like, 100%, and then other days it's like you're struggling, you got probably, like, 25, 30%, can't do as much as you were doing a day or 2 before, and then that just takes a toll on your mental, you know?
Yeah, I think I have a lot of respect for people who are coming back from any kind of major surgery, because I know it's probably the most miserable 3 months of my life when I had my
Yeah.
shoulder surgery and I couldn't do anything
You're
in
walking
terms of
around with a thing
physical.
like this,
Yeah, and physical activity, it just
it's limiting
and
and
it's
everything.
it's just you, it definitely feels like you have a part of your identity stripped away from you for a little bit, and the only thing you can focus on is rehab, so then when that doesn't
So you can
go
get back
well.
to what you were doing.
Yeah, when you're doing your physical therapy and it doesn't go well, it's not a good feeling. It can be mentally exhausting more so than
Yeah,
anything physical. I mean, that's any kind of rehab, physical therapy,
yeah, no
coming
doubt.
back from injury, it's all the mental side of it is the grind. So I always have a lot of respect. And that was for me as a high school going into college athlete, as opposed to
Yeah,
like these guys, that's how they make their livelihood. So the stress
true.
of coming back, I could imagine it would be extremely like mentally draining and you would need a
Yeah,
lot of good people around you to keep you up for sure.
yeah, well, I mean, like I said, Breece Hall, man, I'm looking forward to seeing him. Like I said, that running back room is gonna be tough. Speaking of that, we got Dalvin Cook on the episode briefly.
A little bit.
Yeah. You got what you wanted, but it wasn't necessarily seeing him perform on any level. It was just
No.
got him to the building, signed his paper. He was there watching the game.
I thought I saw, it was either yesterday or today that he finally practiced with the team because
Uh-huh. He
little
had his
Dalvin
kid.
got
Yeah,
born. Yeah, they said that on the episode. That was kind of a cool
yeah.
behind the scenes to see.
Yeah, I forgot about that till, when you were, like, talking about it right now, that he had his kid, because that was, like he was like, "Oh," Aaron walked up to him, he was like, "Yo," like, "You leaving? Like, how far along?" He was like, "Well, congrats, man," you know?
Mhm.
Crazy. So week 1,
Um,
prepare for that man to have a touchdown.
Calvin versus
Yeah.
James, the battle of the cooks, dude. Who's gonna cook more?
Monday night, bro. While
Yeah,
we're
it's
at
gonna
it.
be a great game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's see, what else caught my eye? Our guy Q Ball, when he was they had the joint practice with the Bucks,
Mhm.
and he was like, "Bro, Mike Evans called me fat." He was, like,
Oh,
sad
that was
about that,
so funny.
and
He
then
he was
his
like, "Bro,
homie
you
was trying
called
to
me fat."
justify it. Yeah, his homie was trying to justify what to call him. He was like, "Well, I would say you're not skinny."
He goes, "Ah, nah, you're thick."
Yeah, yeah, and
Hey,
then
when he sees Mike after practice, he's like,
he's like,
"Hey,
"Bro, why you
man,
calling me fat?"
why you calling me fat, dude? I lost 10 pounds this off season. That hurt my feelings. You hurt
Yeah.
me. You hurt me. You cut me deep on that one."
Yeah, no, that dude's hilarious, bro. That whole bit had me rolling. Let's see. Oh, while in the joint practice as well, I was just sitting here like, how many fights do they want to have until they think they're pointless? Like, you don't have to run out there every time, you know?
There's like a I don't know what it is. I think it's like an ego thing that they all have to fight. They just
Yeah.
have to do it, apparently.
Well, like they always get extra chippy at the end of the play for no reason. Like you wrap them up, do whatever, let them like run the extra couple hours, and then someone tries to punch the ball out and it gets out of hand,
Mhm.
or like they're blocking each other, the whistle's blowing, but they're still going, and then that leads to something, and it's like, bro, like you've done this 5 different times already. Like, why can't the two dudes just figure it out? Or they come grab them, pull them away, get on, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't I mean, to a certain extent, I think these guys have to have such an attitude in terms of, like, there is only one speed that they go. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
I
And
feel
that's
that.
part of for a lot of these guys, especially guys who are kinda on that bubble, that's why they're there. Like, that's the only
Yeah,
reason they've made
that
it
is
this
true.
far. So that's kinda, like, in their DNA, so it kinda makes sense. You get a lot of dudes like that in one space, and they're
Uh
all trying to prove something.
huh.
You know, I mean, it's recipe for disaster. So it
Yeah,
makes sense from that when you think about it that way. But yeah, it is kind of like, "Hey, guys, do we have to do
yeah,
this?" It's funny because Rodgers and Wilson are the quarterbacks over there
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Oh, man, there's already been 5 fights today."
Yeah, yeah, he was also
Pretty
like,
boys aren't
"You're
getting in
too
it.
old for this." Like,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
like, "You going out there? I'm not going out there."
Hey, how about Rodgers pointing at the guy, "You're not coming back up."
Yeah, yeah,
The guy backs
yeah.
up.
Yeah, the
Hey, that was
backer,
good.
that was hilarious. And he, like, takes a couple steps back. That was the all-time they had that I seen that going around on X, which is hilarious because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
hadn't seen the episode yet, so I was like, "Oh, let's see when this happens."
By the way, I refuse to call it X, it's Twitter, forever.
No, but, like, okay, I'm trying to get on the movement to call it X because it's not Twitter, not you open your phone, it don't say that. But
It's
then, like,
Twitter, dude.
what do you call tweets? It still says tweet, which is hilarious to me, like, this fool didn't think this out all the way through, you know what I mean? Like
I I think it's still Twitter, I just think it's the logo is an X now, that's it.
yeah. No, I mean, it definitely is, but, like, there's differences between, like, you could get paid to tweet now, whether it's getting interactions from the ads, blah, 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 blah. But no, I just find it funny because he changed the name for whatever reason, and then didn't change anything in the interface. Like, it all looks the same, still the same everything, but the logo's different, and the name when you open your phone is different.
And that has been Social Media Corner today.
Yeah, so catch us on Threads going forward.
Oh, man. Um, anything else that I actually thought overall that this episode maybe wasn't as good as the last few, honestly. I thought it was a
No,
little bit more, like, low key.
yeah, no, I agree, but I had a lot of notes. So, we had one thing I realized before they said it, Garrett Wilson also wears number 17,
Mhm,
surprisingly. So,
mhm.
that's fun.
Oh, the Randall Cobb. The
Yeah,
Randall
I was gonna
Cobb
bring that up
speech to
next.
the receivers. That was the other one that really stood out. One, I thought it was funny because he said 12 and then caught himself was like 8.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, 2, the the eyes of all the receivers, including even the receivers coach, when
Uh-huh.
he's like, "Hey, 12 or 8 told me
Yeah.
we had a bad day today. We're messing up simple stuff, and it's
Uh-huh.
all cool right now, but I'm telling you, you
Yeah,
guys
when we
keep
get to
doing
the
this,
season.
he's gonna lose his he was gonna lose it on all of you. And then he's just talking about like if he doesn't trust you, he ain't throwing you the ball.
Yeah,
And it's
which
funny
is
because you're
makes
like
perfect sense with the whole
that.
team that he's had.
That is the exact reason that 30 however year old Randall Cobb is on that team.
Yeah, because
And
he
you can
brought him because
see
he
it
could trust him.
because he can trust him and he knows how to communicate to the
Yeah,
rest of those guys what Aaron's looking for without Aaron having to do it as
voicing
much, you know?
himself. Yeah,
And it's like Randall Cobb, is he going to give you 1,000 yards this year? Probably not.
no,
He's going
but
to give
he's
you
gonna
limited
lead the
reps,
team
but
in
he will
that
help.
room. Yeah,
And that's why he's there. And that's why he's valuable. And it makes a ton of sense when you
yeah.
watch that.
No, yeah. Well, speaking of Cobb too, like those they showed briefly that those fools were talking about possibly retiring last year after that game when they ran off
Yeah.
and lost to the Lions, which was also a crazy thing to think about. That Rodgers went into his, hibernation mode and then came out like, "I'm going to the Jets."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's funny too because Cobb, all his kids all think that Aaron Rodgers, that's just Uncle Aaron for them. And it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
they clearly have like a
A
really,
good
really
connection or
unique
friendship,
bond.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, he
which is
also
cool.
said that was the godfather or whatever, which is
Mhm.
also crazy to think about.
Yeah.
'Cause I never thought that fool would ever have kids, so if that's the next closest thing he's got, it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes a ton of sense.
Let's see,
Um,
2 other notes, one's more sad, so I'll do that one first. They were talking about that dude Izzy, I don't know what his last name was, but
oh,
he
yeah.
was balling and then got hurt in that preseason game. That was tough to watch,
Yep.
and then it was funny seeing his parents watching the game, and then his mom was like, "Yeah, some guy came up to me and took a picture asking" well, he asked if I was Izzy's mom, then he took a picture with me, really happy. And then my other quick note was the owner got iced out. My dude rolled into the
The ice,
rolled into the
bro,
meeting and was like, "Oh, yeah, check this out. I just got this." Threw it on. Everyone's like,
the chain.
"Whoa, yeah."
You know, everyone thought it was the funniest thing they've ever seen. They're like, "Dude, this guy's such a dork. This is our owner."
Well, it's crazy because that fool I don't know how old he is. I don't wanna put a number to it, but he looks really old. And then for him to roll out with that, like, trying to act like he's younger or whatever, prove to the
Mhm.
dudes that he's with them, locked in, and it's just funny.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. I'm sure the guys got a kick out of it. All right. Are we ready for the moment
Yeah, let's
everyone's been
get into
waiting
it.
for now?
Yeah. Let's
So,
see
as we
what we got
transition
with
out
the
of Hard Knocks,
playoffs.
yeah, dude, as we transition out of Hard Knocks, we're gonna talk playoffs.
Speaking of the Jet playoffs? That's I got
Playoffs.
Herm. That's
Um,
hilarious.
we're gonna talk through our obviously division winners, but all 7 playoff teams, who we have, what their
Mhm.
records are, in each conference. Then we'll go through and pick our playoff games, pick our Super Bowl champs. So I think an old school way, let's go bar for bar, Joe.
Alright,
All
let's
right,
do it.
we'll start in the AFC.
Okay.
Who do you have as your 1 seed?
Well, originally I had it as the Bengals. I got Joey B being out the first couple weeks. Changed that for me. I also had the Ravens really close to them just because I think their whole schedule was pretty easy. So I just flipped them, taking Ravens 1.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I also have been a huge fan of the Ravens. The more I've seen this offseason, in our initial predictions, I also picked the Bengals to finish just above them
Yeah.
in the division. However, I have also flipped it, and I'm taking the Ravens to go 13-4 and finish as the 1 seed in the AFC. I think this is the year Lamar is healthy. Todd
Uh-huh.
Monken brings a new, fresh face to the offense. I picked Lamar to win the MVP. He's got all the
Ooh.
weapons. Their defense is sick. Harbaugh is one of the best coaches in the league.
One of the longest
Mark
ones
Andrews,
standing.
one of the best tight ends in the league, right? I
He's
mean,
hurt
all
too
you
right
put it
now,
all
but
together. Uh, I'm taking the Ravens to be the 1 seed. Who you
yeah.
got at 2?
2, I got so I have a tie at 2, so 2 and 3, I'll just ramble them off real quick. I'm taking the Jets at 2, at 13-4, and then 3, I had the Chiefs with the same record.
Okay. So I've got the Bills and Chiefs also tied tiebreaker in this, the way that I picked all the games, went to the Bills. So the Bills were my 2 seed at 12-5. The Chiefs were my 3 seed at also 12-5.
Yep, I feel that. So 4, I'm assuming we both got it, the Jags. I'm
The
assuming.
Jaguars,
Yeah.
I have them finishing 10-7.
Okay, I have 11-6.
I could see that too. So our division winners are the same, except you
Yep.
have the Jets, I have the Bills. That was the same this offseason. Neither one of us flipped on that. We're both sticking steady to it.
Yep.
All right. Let's go to the 5 seed, the first wild card. Who do you have and why?
Well, the Bengals. I mean, we talked about that. We flipped our decisions. I have them at 13-4.
Oof, man. 13-4, and you get the 5 seed is brutal.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, that was like the Cowboys last year, right?
Yeah. I've got the Jets at 11-6 as the 5 seed.
Oh, dang. So you're thinking the Bengals are taking a massive dump, huh?
Well, the AFC, I'll tell
Yeah,
you,
it
my
is tough.
standings, I have 12 teams with winning records in the AFC. 12 teams. That means
wild.
there's going to be 5 teams who don't make the playoffs that I had having winning records.
Yeah.
And just to be fair, if some of you are like, "Oh, the math doesn't work out on that," the way I did this, I picked every game throughout the entire season. You can go on playoffpredictors.com and just pick every NFL game and then see what you end up with. That's how I did this. Rather than being like, this team or that team, I just picked every single game as I saw it. It was really like I looked at rest advantages, I looked at home and away, I looked at like obviously who are their tougher opponents, and you're talking about health like at different points in the season. A lot of this stuff is unpredictable.
Travel, going to
But
London.
yes, the travel, all that stuff. So that's how I did it. So I got the Jets at 11-6, but I actually have all 3 wild card teams in the AFC as 11-6.
Okay.
And so the Jets won the tiebreaker and got the 5 seed.
All right, well, I will say you're a good man because I just went to our predictions earlier, took the record I had on there, and then for some people to make it work with the order I had them finishing, gave them a game or took a game away, whatever.
I gotcha.
So I'll be honest with that part. The next one, I'm a homer. You could say it. Broncos 10-7.
Woo. Now, if it makes you feel any better, I also have the Broncos finishing 10-7, but they're my first team out.
Yeah,
They did not make it.
Well, you could go with your next team. I think I could say that same line for that.
I've got the Chargers at 11-6.
That's my first team out.
Yeah. Okay. They're similarly to what Lamar's going to get with Todd Monken. I'm excited to see Herbert with their new OC, Kellen Moore. I think both those guys get unleashed a little bit, and we see better versions of them. So I'm expecting big things from Justin Herbert this year. I've got them also going 11-6. They just barely lose the tiebreaker to the Jets.
Yeah.
And while we're here, I also have the Bengals in as my 7 seed. They're also 11-6. All 3 wild cards.
So I rolled with the Dolphins here.
Oof.
But now you could say this might sound bad because, like I said, I took my record I gave them during our prediction. So that's 9-8. I'm certainly, if it's similar to what you're saying, where you have them all 11-6, I'm assuming they're going to have to be probably 10-7 at least. But that's just the record I had on them. I was a little pressed for time today. I didn't know we were doing records. I was just putting them in order. So
yeah,
it was like as soon as I got home, I did that, and then we're here.
So I'll just go through my next few teams out.
Yeah.
I got the Broncos first team out at 10-7. The Patriots 10-7.
Whoa.
I got the Steelers, Dolphins, and Browns all finishing 9-8. And that's those are 12. We're to 12 teams. And then I think the Colts are going to surprise some people. I've got them finishing 8-9.
Okay.
I think a better record than people thought. A much better. I only gave them credit for 4 wins in the offseason, I believe, or maybe 5.
Yeah, I know.
And having seen what they've done in the offseason, watching camp, watching Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson's my dark horse. Offensive player of the year, rookie offensive player of the year. And Shane Steichen, I just think they're going to be better than I kind of gave them credit for. I think hopefully they get Jonathan Taylor back. And so 8-9, they're not getting the playoffs, but better.
Yeah, make some noise. Definitely an
Yeah.
improvement from last year. So I didn't do as many teams as you. I got the Chargers and the Bills on the outside looking in. After that, I think my next one
Wow.
would probably be the Steelers, if I had to say.
Wow. The Bills and the
Yeah,
Chargers out. It's
yeah,
crazy. You look at the AFC and you're like, man, there's gonna be at least 3, if not 4 to 5 good football teams that are just out.
yeah,
They're just not in.
yeah.
This is
It's
one
gonna
of
be
those years
crazy.
where having the 7 playoff teams is really truly, like, worth it.
Yeah, no doubt. It's gonna be fun to watch, especially like you said, you got all your what is it, top of 12 or whatever? Or
Top
no, you
12 in
have
the
5.
AFC,
Yeah,
9 and 8 and better. 9
yeah.
and 8 or better.
Yeah, it's
Unbelievable.
gonna be close here for sure for everyone. But let's kick
Alright,
it over to the NFC, bro. Who do you got out of the North?
fair enough.
Or
My
I guess
1 seed
we were doing yeah, my bad.
my 1 seed is the Eagles, but
Okay.
I've got them at a worse record than most people probably guess. I got them going 12 and 5.
Yeah, so I had the same thing, literally first and the record.
Yeah. I think there may be a couple more bumps this year, maybe some injuries. They played a long season last year. They may even start a little slower, but I
Well, I
still
think
think they're the
that
best team in the NFC.
that after I think it's their bye week, it gets tough. They got like
Yeah.
the Niners, the
They
Seahawks,
do have a tough
the
stretch.
Giants, I think it's all playoff teams that they have right there. So
Yeah.
that alone being all those tough games and travel in between all that, it's gonna be tough no matter what right there. So that's another
And,
thing.
I believe when we did this in the offseason, I said 12 and 5,
Mhm.
and I sticking to it. My 2 seed, I've got the Seattle Seahawks at 11 and 6. I
Yeah.
think they had a great draft. I have John Schneider up as my executive of the year. There's a reason for it.
Yeah,
I think
true.
that they crushed the draft. They've crushed the last couple drafts. They've got a lot of young talent. I think Chino's good enough. I don't think
Yeah.
he's like a franchise guy, but I think he's good enough with everything they've got around him to get them to 11 and 6 and to win the NFC West this year.
Yeah, so I have the Niners. It's also 12 and 5, like I said, plug and play for me on that. But Niners taking the West with, I guess while we're here, Seahawks, same record as you, but that's the first outside team.
Got it. My 3 seed, the Saints have a very easy schedule, and I've got them going 10 and 7 to win the NFC South.
All right, so my third team is gonna be the Lions at 10 and 7,
Okay. I
and
have the
then
Lions also at 10 and 7. They just lose the tiebreaker with the
yeah,
Saints, and so they're the
that's
4
it.
seed for me.
So I had the Saints at 9 and 8, but I mean like the same thing. I guess this time we switched on the West. So
Mhm.
there you go, some
I've
difference.
got my 5 seed, first team in the playoffs. I have, crazy enough, 3 through 8 in the NFC for me are all 10 and 7.
Okay.
So the 2 division winners, all 3 wild cards, and then the first team out, all 10 and 7. All right. So I've got the Cowboys as my first team. They win the tiebreaker to be the 5 seed. They're 10 and
Okay.
7. Who do you have?
So I had the Seahawks 11 and 6, but then my next team will be the Cowboys also 11 and 6.
Got it. My next team, by virtue again of tiebreakers, is
Yeah.
the Rams at 10 and 7.
Okay.
Stafford, Cup, McVay, Donald.
Mhm.
Enough said. Young players who they like.
You're just naming the
Four
whole team that everyone knows, or
four blue chippers that are going to be healthy and motivated to show people that they're wrong.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
it.
I mean,
With
what
a
do you think about
pretty
our guy Stafford
light
not being able
schedule.
to
Connect
command
with
the
the
young
young
dudes?
guys. Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, get out of here with all that. Come on.
Well, I mean, what about Rodgers, bro? His best homie is 2 young dudes, the year 2s, and our guy
Dude,
Stafford's having trouble. He's gotta message him on Facebook.
Stafford's just too honest. He'll be fine. He'll be fine, dude. All right. Who you got as your 7 seed?
I got so I've had a change of heart here. I'm taking the Packers as this last team. I have them going 9 and 8. Big drop off, like I said though. I was just plugging and playing, so it
Yeah.
probably has to be more like 10 and 7 though for sure.
I've got the Niners here at 10 and 7. The Packers are my first team out. Heartbreaker, also finishing 10 and 7.
Uh huh.
I think Jordan Love's real. I
Yeah.
really
Well,
like the Packers.
from what you were telling me to seeing some film on him and then at
Preseason,
practice, yeah, He
He's
does
real.
look really nice, and the fact, I
Yeah.
mean, that they've been set on him ever since they knew Rodgers was gone should tell you something that they saw that we never got to, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Um, so then I'll run down the list of my other teams out. I've got the Vikings at 8-9
Yeah.
as the second team out. I've got the Falcons at 8-9, the Bears at 7-10, the Giants at 7-10, and then the Commanders 6-11, Panthers 5-12. I've got the Bucks and the Cardinals as the two worst records in the league. That didn't change much.
Yeah.
2-15, 1-16.
Who's the one? The Cardinals or the Bucks?
Cardinals got 1-16. Yeah, Bucks are 2-15 for me.
There
So,
you
for what it's worth, the other bottom tier teams, I had the Titans. I didn't mention them earlier. 5-12.
go.
The Texans at 3-14, and the Raiders at 2-15.
Yeah, that makes sense too. But yeah, my first couple teams here, I got the Vikings and the Rams just on the outside looking in. And if I had to throw in a third, I'd probably say maybe the Panthers, low key.
Mm-hmm. I think the Panthers' offensive line is so bad that I was high on them, and then I watched their offensive line in preseason. I was
Uh-huh.
like, I don't think they're
Yeah,
going to be able to protect Bryce Young.
yeah, I feel that. And that
So
probably doesn't help the height difference if you're not having much time to read anything. So
yeah, it's tough. So let's go through. So in the AFC, I've got the Ravens with a bye, which would leave the Bills to play the Bengals in round
yeah.
one, a divisional round rematch from last year.
Yeah, oh,
I've
that's
got
okay, before we continue, I did notice I have a lot of those too within all the games where
mhm.
it's just every time it's just maybe they win the first game and then they play their division or the other way. They play the division, then they play someone else. Kinda wild.
I've got then the Chiefs playing the Chargers,
Mhm.
divisional matchup. Um, and then the Jaguars playing the Jets.
Yeah,
So in the wild card round, I've got the Jets beating the Jags. I
okay.
think the Jets are going to gel late in the year. I think they're going to struggle early, gel late, make a
Uh-huh.
run,
Okay.
beat the Jags in round one in the wild card. I've got the Chiefs beating the Chargers. It just feels
Uh-huh.
like the Chiefs beat they're always close, but it feels like the Chiefs always find a way to win. And then I've got the Bills getting it done this year, being able to
Uh-huh.
beat the Bengals.
Okay.
Where the Bengals beat them last year. I think the Bills get revenge this year. And
Gotcha.
that's what I have in the AFC wild card. What do you have in the AFC wild card?
So, yeah, I got, like you said, the Ravens with the bye, and then my second team being the Jets playing the 7 seed Dolphins. Jets taking that one. I got the Chiefs, 3rd seed Chiefs playing the 6th seed Broncos. The Chiefs win that one. And then I got the 4 seed Jags playing the Bengals. The Bengals win that one.
Okay. So your AFC divisional matchups are
We got the Chiefs, Broncos, and then what? Jets, Dolphins. Oh, no, my bad. I'm tripping.
divisional round.
I
Divisional
thought you
round.
literally meant to playing in their division. My bad. Yeah, I caught that as soon as I finished that sentence. So I got the Ravens playing the Bengals, and then the Jets playing the Chiefs, with the Bengals winning and the Chiefs winning.
Wow, another Chiefs Bengals AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
So I went completely different. So I have
Uh-huh.
the Ravens playing or I've got
The Ravens
Bills.
playing the Bengals, right?
No, how did I do this? I'm
I
so
thought your
sorry.
Bengals were the last team in.
No, they were, but they got
Oh, they lost?
they lost to the
Oh, I missed
Bills.
that altogether, my bad. Oh, you
Yeah,
did say that.
yeah. So I've got the the Jets, the Bills, and the Chiefs. That's what I had. So the Ravens. Nah, I messed this up because I had a Ravens Jets AFC Championship game. I must have had the Bengals beating the Bills. So I've got Ravens
Okay, yeah.
Bengals and Jets Chiefs.
Okay.
That's right. That's what I had. And I have the
Gotcha,
Jets and
gotcha.
the Ravens in the AFC Championship game.
Dang. Some
I've
new
got
new blood
Rodgers
out here.
making a
Oh,
run.
okay.
Yeah, I've got Rodgers making the run, going into Kansas City and beating Mahomes.
Uh-huh. Hell yeah. So, yeah, I got the Chiefs, Bengals, like I said, in that AFC Championship with the Bengals taking this one. So
Okay.
they get to the Super Bowl right there. Get
In
in
the
the middle.
AFC in the AFC Championship, I've got the Jets and the Ravens, and I've got the Ravens beating the Jets. So
Dang,
I got the
Harbaugh
Jets getting
going
to the
back.
AFC Championship game, but yep, Harbaugh gets back to the Super Bowl with Lamar.
Dang, okay. So then on the NFC side for the Eagles, obviously with the bye, 2 seed Niners playing the 7 seed Packers. Niners take that one. 3 seed Lions playing the 6 seed Vikings. I got the Vikings taking that one. Wait, I don't even have them written down. Oh, I changed it to the Cowboys. That's what
Yeah.
happened. So 6 seed Cowboys playing the 3 seed Lions. Cowboys take that one. 4 seed Saints playing the 5 seed Seahawks. I got the Seahawks taking that one.
So for me in the NFC, I've got the Eagles on the bye. I've got the 2-seeded Seahawks playing the 7-seeded Niners. I've got the 3-seeded
Oh,
um, Saints playing the 6-seeded Rams, and then the 4-seeded Lions playing the 5-seeded Cowboys. I have the Cowboys beating the Lions,
okay.
the Rams beating the Saints,
Mhm.
the Seahawks being the only home team that beats the Niners.
Gotcha.
All right.
Dang. Upset alert.
So that leaves in my divisional round, the Rams got to go on the road to Philly,
Yeah.
and the Cowboys go on the road to Seattle. And I've got Seattle and Philly
Oh, yeah.
advancing to the NFC title game. What do
Yeah.
you have in the divisional round?
Alright, so I got Eagles, Vikings with the Eagles taking that one. Or Cowboys, my bad. I wrote down Vikings and I changed it late. So Eagles, Cowboys, Eagles take that one, division rivalry right there. Then I got the Niners and the Seahawks with the Seahawks taking this one. But that
Ooh.
one's on the road for them. So
So you have Seahawks Philly in the
yep.
NFC Championship game too.
Yeah. I mean different
Wow.
route, but yeah.
Okay. All right. So we have completely different AFC Championship games, but we have the same NFC Championship. All right.
Yeah.
Who do you have coming out of the NFC Championship?
Oh, I got the Eagles. Let the
I
birds
do as
fly.
well. I think the home field in that matchup matters more than anything else.
Oh yeah.
So I've got an all birds Super Bowl, Eagles Ravens, and you have Eagles Bengals.
Mhm.
All right.
Yep.
Drum roll. Who's your Super Bowl champion, Jody?
If I had some sunglasses, I would throw them on. But I'm going with Joe Brr. You know what I mean?
Oh,
I think he
wow.
gets
The
it done this
Bengals.
year, getting a run late in the year, rolls into the playoffs, and they just take it all.
Wow. So you think the
Yeah.
Eagles are going to lose 2 heartbreakers in a row in the Super
Yes,
Bowl?
sir. Yes, sir.
Eagles
Uh,
fans don't like you
that's
right now.
the Philly thing to do, bro. Is end up second, whether it's this sport or another one. You know what I mean?
Ooh, Philly thing to do, end up second. Wow. Dude, I can't wait for Philly fans to hate on you after listening to this.
Hey, if Robert Salah said it last week, you ain't got haters, bro. It is what it is. You know what I mean?
I'm going to go the other direction. Philly fans, you'll love me because I'm picking them to win the Super Bowl, dude. Philly gets it done this year. It's not quite Lamar's year. He gets all the way to the Super Bowl, but it's Hurts' year. Jalen Hurts
Mhm.
takes it in the Super Bowl. Philly gets revenge this year. They get their Super Bowl back. They got their swagger back. Oh, oh. All right. So I got and maybe Chris Long makes an appearance again at the parade and can wear the big fur coat
There you
with the
go.
AI jersey. So I got Philly taking it over Baltimore in the Super Bowl. That's fun. I like it. I like
Yeah.
that we have a lot of different. We got a lot of same
Yeah.
and
Same, but different.
same but different. And I'm just excited for this NFL season to kick
Oh,
off,
yeah.
man.
It's been a long time coming.
No doubt. While we're here and we're making predictions,
Mhm.
we have another sport kicking off right now, or another. It's the same sport, amateur
Little
level,
brother in a way.
apparently.
Yeah. Yeah.
College football, baby, and I love college football just as much as I love the NFL. I know we
Yeah.
haven't had a chance to talk about it as much. So much happening in college football, realignment, all this good
Yeah.
stuff. The new expanded playoff after this year.
Oh,
College
yeah. It's gonna
football
be
this time
crazy.
next year is going to look completely different.
Yeah.
This is the last
Teams
year.
being things like USC, UCLA gone to
Texas,
playing.
Oklahoma,
Yeah.
all of it. And 12-team playoff, all of that. So this is
Yeah.
the last year of college football as we know it. And so I say we throw in our prediction for that Final Four. Who you
Uh-huh.
got in your college football playoff this year, Jody?
So I don't tend to watch college football too much. It's kind of like obviously it's an all day thing. Whether it's because of the rules, right? You get the first down break, like the play clock stops. Uh you get long games, bro. They're like 3 hours. They bleed into other games, and then based on location determines what you're watching. Really, like you're not gonna probably watch any Pac-12 games because maybe you can now. But when you were in Georgia, that was really late for you to watch. So I'm gonna say it's very similar to what we saw last year, except I'm kicking TCU out, putting in USC. So I got Georgia, USC, Michigan, and Ohio State with my final
Ooh.
four.
Similar Final Four for me. I've got Georgia finishing as the 1 seed once again.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan as the 2 seed once again. This time around, I'm gonna go Clemson as the 3 seed. I really
Ooh.
love Cade Klubnik with the pairing of Garrett Riley as his OC. Dabo's
Uh-huh.
always been in his best when he's got a sick OC, and he's got one again, and a
Yeah.
quarterback that I think is good, with the right weapons around him. And then USC is my 4th team in. I think it's just so fitting that the Pac-12 is in its last year of existence, and all we've ever talked about for years was the Pac-12 making the playoff, and could they do it in
Yep.
XYZ?
Nope.
This year, they're
They just
finally
shoot
gonna do it.
themselves in the foot
Their
every year.
last year in existence. I believe in USC. I'm gonna call the shot now. It's gonna
Yeah.
happen on their way out the door. It'll be hilarious. Caleb Williams, Lincoln
Yep.
Riley, the whole
Yeah.
shebang. The Pac-12 will get its last hurrah. They won't win a playoff game. They'll go get smoked by Georgia. It'll be
But
like
they'll be
when
there.
Lincoln was at Oklahoma, and they'll make the
Uh-huh.
playoff, but they'll get smoked in the playoff. But
Yeah.
I think USC gets in. They lose to Georgia. I've got Michigan finally winning a playoff game,
Uh-huh.
beating Clemson, but
Georgia?
Georgia's just the dominant force in the
Yeah.
sport right now.
Yeah.
Georgia wins it all again, three-peat. I don't know if anyone can beat them.
The new Bama right now, honestly. And their offense is always just crazy. I mean, we've seen Stetson Bennett last year. What I really know them for is really having a run game, right? I'm pretty sure that's where Chubb was from. So it's just crazy. They could do it
Well,
all.
it's funny. We're talking about the SEC and domination and having, a dynasty, if you will.
Yeah.
And I've got a great banger of the week for you, Joe.
Oh, let's hear it.
It's my turn, and it has to do with the SEC. It has to do with
Uh-huh.
dynasties.
Oh, you were watching the Florida?
Netflix's Swamp Kings. All
Yeah.
right. 4-part docuseries on the Urban Meyer Florida Gators from about '05 to 2010-ish.
Oh, they did 5 years? I thought it would just be like the Tebow time, honestly.
Well, I mean, most of that is the Tebow time. It's
Uh-huh.
it's most of the that's covered where they focus. It's all the Tebow era.
Okay.
So they talk about the first year Urban's there before Tebow gets on campus,
Uh-huh.
and then kind of like that last year. But I mean, really, Tebow's there from '06 to 10 essentially
Yeah.
because he stayed 4 years.
Oh, okay.
So
Gotcha.
um,
Percy
there's a couple
Harvin,
things.
Aaron Hernandez.
If you're looking for them to tell you all the insight on Aaron Hernandez and Cam Newton and the Pouncey brothers and all the other dudes that were there that got in trouble,
Uh-huh.
this isn't a documentary for you. They're not going to
Okay.
do that. They gave you 15 minutes of that at most. Now, what they do give you is a little background on Urban in terms of his first year in the program. He had a freshman
Uh-huh.
corner who hit his girlfriend,
Mhm.
and they had a
Yeah.
no-hitting policy on their team, in terms of no hitting women, I should say.
Yeah.
So he kicked him off the team.
Dang.
A year later, that kid OD'd. And
Oh,
Urban never forgave himself and felt
yeah.
like kicking that kid off the team didn't help.
Yeah.
So that's
That's
why,
crazy.
in his words, that's why every other kid that was there, including Aaron Hernandez and including all those dudes, got
Uh-huh.
all those chances with him. Now, I don't,
Yeah, that's tough because you gotta have some
they talked
sorta.
about the University of Florida basically could buy the cops off.
Yeah. Dang.
When dudes on their team got in trouble, UF could make it disappear, basically. And
They're
so I
dropping
don't
off Chick-fil-A bags.
yeah, I don't know that, any of those guys learned anything. They never learned their lesson. And I understand
Yeah.
Urban wanting to protect players from themselves and not
Yeah.
wanting to kick them out of the program. That's all. I get that. But there was real limited accountability during those years. And I just don't
Uh-huh.
buy that you had all these guys getting in trouble and that somehow you couldn't have done more. And
For
as a coach, I think it's important that those guys learn those lessons, and otherwise they don't
Yeah,
become the
there's no
best versions of
maturity
themselves.
over the next couple of years. They get to the league and it gets worse and
Yeah. Yeah. And,
revolving door.
so if you're looking for that stuff, it's not really there. It's
Mhm.
there a little bit, but not as much as you would expect over the course of 4 parts. A lot of thoughts on Tebow. Tebow, he's it's like sometimes you see someone and you're like, "It's so raw that I wonder, like, he's either one of the best teammates you could have ever had, or he's,
Uh-huh.
like, the best at being a fake guy that I've ever seen." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's one of the 2 'cause, like, just if you watch it, even his interviews now, the
Uh-huh.
way he talks and the way he speaks and how he says things, both in his tone of voice and his
Yeah.
choice of words and everything, it's all, like, so
Calculated.
sincere, and like I said, but it almost feels like too good to be true
Uh-huh.
is how it comes off, and so that's why I say he's either, like, the best teammate anyone's ever had, or
Uh-huh.
he's really good at faking it, and I just can't tell. I don't know. I just
Yeah.
it's like it's impressive, but, the last takeaway I had from it, Urban won the 2nd national title at Florida and said he
Uh-huh.
didn't even celebrate with the team. He was in his office texting recruits in the next class,
Dang. That's tough.
and he even admitted it himself. Like, the guy was miserable the whole time. Always worried about the next game, always worried
Yeah.
about if they would lose or win and, like, if he's doing enough, and, like, he said he was, like, addicted to Ambien just to sleep, like, he was getting 4
Uh-huh.
hours of sleep, and in order to do that, he was taking 2 pills and, a beer on top of it to knock him out so he could get 4
Yeah.
hours because he was just always in panic mode. He never enjoyed a single second of it from what
Damn, that sounds
it
stressful.
sounded like. Yeah, I mean, he legitimately this guy was so enthralled with trying to win that it
Huh.
made him a miserable jerk.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's crazy.
based on his own descriptions of himself, and it was a good reminder for me. I mean, I love to win. I'm as competitive as they come,
Yeah.
um, and sometimes that can be hard when you're coaching high school kids because not every high school kid that you're gonna coach in a football team is that way, is built that way.
Yeah. No,
And
for
it can
real.
be difficult because you have to remind yourself that that's who you're dealing with, and it's not about you, it's about them.
Yeah.
And so
No
it was
doubt.
I was one of the things I took away from it was just reminding myself to enjoy the journey, enjoy every day you get,
Uh-huh.
because I do, I love my job, you know what I mean?
Oh, I
And,
bet.
but sometimes you can get blinded by, like, are we doing enough? Are we preparing well enough? Are we gonna win this
Yeah.
game? Oh, what was the result of the game? It didn't go the way I wanted. I'm upset, that kinda thing,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
and it can take away from the joy you get of doing the job itself, and before you know
Yeah.
it,
No, I get
you're
that.
sitting there miserable, even though you're working what you thought was your dream job,
Uh-huh.
and that's
Yeah.
just, like, what I got from Urban, who I've never been the biggest fan of, but, like, watching him, I will give him credit for being extremely honest,
Uh-huh.
and I thought there was a lot of good takeaways for me in terms of how I
Good
view
lessons to
myself, my
learn.
career. Yeah, and
Yeah.
just good reminders of, like, stop and remind yourself what you get to do
Yeah.
and why you're doing it, you know?
Yeah, no, it makes
And I think
sense.
that's not just applicable to football coaches, that's literally everyone in the
Everyone.
world.
Yeah.
Everyone in the world in terms of what you're doing. We can be so goal oriented and focused and driven on the end results, and
Uh-huh.
then you get it, and he said when he won the first one that
He's
he
gonna
thought he
win the
would never
second
have to
one.
worry again,
Oh,
and then
but
he
that
goes,
was
"Boy, was I wrong."
yeah.
Exact opposite, it got worse, because then it's like you're trying to defend it and you're expected to win. It's
Yeah.
different when
No,
that
for real.
happens.
That
So
okay, while you said that real quick, that's the tough part about college. Because like if you're that good, you're probably at least 5 dudes on your team are leaving that were starters. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which is crazy to think about. The turnover is crazy, and you probably don't get dudes for all 4 years like you mentioned with Tebow, how he stayed that last one, which is also tough.
It's crazy because they won it in 06, they won it again in 08, and in 09 they were undefeated. Alabama was undefeated because remember that's like early Saban era,
Huh?
and they met in the SEC championship, both 12-0, and Florida lost
Yeah.
to Alabama. They beat them the year before in the SEC championship and won the Natty. Then that year they lost to them. All those guys talk about on that team, all they think about, even Tebow said it, walks in the stadium, he goes, I love this place. I have so many great memories. But every time I look up there, and he pointed up to the national champions, 96,
Yeah.
06, 08, he says, all I can think about is how there should be another one right there, 2009.
Yeah.
And that's like all of them. It's like, yes, they won the 2, but what they think about is how they didn't win the 3rd.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
crazy.
honestly, it's hard. But
Yeah.
as a competitor, I know I would probably be the same way. So I'm not criticizing them for feeling that way. It's just, man, that sucks.
Where was that game played? Was it in?
That was in Atlanta.
Okay, I was gonna say
Where they
because if that happened to be there at home too, like that would just take a whole nother
no, that
toll.
was the
It's a
where they
bowl
always
game?
do this. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, they
Or
always do
the
the
it
SEC championship in Atlanta.
oh, okay.
What's now the Mercedes-Benz Dome.
Gotcha.
So, but great episode. We're
Uh-huh.
excited for football. You guys will hear us again after week 1. So we're going to take a little time, watch some football. We'll get to see the first week of action, and we'll do all of our routine stuff. We'll give players of the week all of our awards. We'll
Yeah,
break
those are
down some
back.
film, some stuff that we saw, educate you a little bit on some football, and review
Oh,
week 1, preview week 2. And so the next time you hear us, football will have happened.
yeah, that's crazy. That is
Oh,
so I'm so glad it's back.
and I forgot to give you my update, Jody.
Oh, yeah, with,
Our
your high
team,
school game. Yeah.
we won 76-6. The team we played was absolutely terrible. I felt
Yeah,
bad for
sounds
them.
like
They
it.
were not good. We weren't trying to score, and we were still scoring. So
It's like you putting me at running back at this point. That's what
I
this
was
sounds like.
took a little shot to the ego that we gave up the 6 and we didn't get the shutout.
Yeah.
We gave it up on kickoff. We gave up a kickoff
No,
return for a
special
tutty.
teams?
Yes. So
Dang.
mad. It was weak too. We didn't need to do it. It was not
Uh-huh.
them, it was us. So
Uh-huh.
kids got to hear about that one on Monday. But
Like, "But coach, we just smoked them." Like, "Yeah,
yeah,
well,
I know.
special
They're thinking,
teams."
coach, we won by 70, and I'm thinking we should
Yeah.
have won by 76. We should have
Yeah.
shut out. But um, we got a tougher game on Friday,
Oh, yeah,
and
I bet.
I'm excited for it. So the next time we talk, we'll have played our next 2 games, this
Mhm.
Friday and next Friday, and I'll obviously give you the update on that. But until then, we got our
Ray
guy.
Ray.
Take us out, Ray Ray.
Sir.